What's up, guys? Mickle here, and there has been so many different opinions on this ongoing Ripple SEC case. It is so hard to even keep track of who even thinks what anymore. Guys, in this video, I want to show you 4 different opinions of 4 different lawyers, all talking about where we stand right now in the Ripple SEC case. Who will win? Will we go the distance? Will we go to a trial? Or will this case settle? Guys, in this video, I want to show you the opinions of Jeremy Hogan, John Deaton, Attorney Fred, and Attorney Bill, and really go over where each one of these lawyers stands, analyze their arguments, and most importantly, break down what I think the most likely scenario is. Guys, make sure to stick around for this whole video. We have a whole bunch of very important topics to cover that are going to give you guys a much better understanding of exactly where we stand in this case right now. Like always, guys, your support means so much to this channel. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below and turn on bell notifications. These 3 simple things go such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out the link for Uphold down in the description below. Uphold is one of my favorite exchanges and a great place to buy and sell XRP. With that said though, guys, let's jump right into the video, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So guys, real quick, MooMoo is running an absolutely insane promotion right now that could win you guys a ton of money. If you sign up with MooMoo right now using the link in the description of this video, you could win up to 15 free stocks, and your chance of actually winning an Apple share are doubled if you sign up today. Also, guys, MooMoo is a great exchange. They're regulated. They have some great products to help you guys trade stocks. So make sure to check that out and definitely sign up with MooMoo if you want 15 free stocks. So guys, let's jump into the video, and I'm not going to go over every single one of these lawyers' entire tweet threads because they are very in-depth. I just want to give you guys the main points and generally where they stand on the most important issues, because I think it's going to give you guys a very good understanding of how all these lawyers feel. And you guys are going to notice they all agree on certain things. Some things they don't all agree on, but I think it gives us a really good idea of exactly where most people stand on the big issues in this case. So I want to start off with Attorney Bill, and Attorney Bill seems to think that Ripple really does have the better summary judgment brief. Attorney Bill really focuses on the fact that Ripple points out that you need an investment contract for something to be a security, and the SEC fails to provide a single investment contract in this case. Ripple brings up this issue and talks about how there is no investment contract between XRP holders and Ripple, and the SEC fails to provide any rebuttal to this argument. What the SEC actually rather tries to do, and Bill puts a lot of attention on this as being unprofessional and misguided, is the SEC tries to misconstrue Ripple's argument and makes it sound like Ripple's arguing something that it's not. The SEC tries to make it sound like Ripple is making up the test for an investment contract, but Attorney Bill makes it very clear that the blue sky laws that Ripple cites for its theory on the investment contract are very applicable to this case, and what the SEC should have done rather than trying to misconstrue the issue and try to avoid it altogether is the SEC should have provided case law that shows, hey, you don't necessarily need an investment contract for something to be a security. Now, the reason the SEC couldn't do this is because there was no case law to show you can have a security without an investment contract. This is a massive hole in the SEC's case because the SEC is actually failing to provide one of the key things it needs to provide for something to be legally declared a security. The SEC cannot produce this because XRP is not a security fundamentally, and this is a huge weakness in the SEC's case. A lot of attorneys out there are having a hard time understanding how the SEC is going to win this case if they are failing to provide a key metric for determining if something is a security or not. Well, with that said, I think it's fair to say that Attorney Bill probably believes that Ripple has a stronger argument going into summary judgment. But Attorney Bill also went on to make a pretty unique argument when it came to settlement also, and I want to quickly go over that. Originally, when Ripple first got the Bill Hinman Ethereum Free Pass emails handed over to them, I was under the impression that a settlement was off the table. I figured that the SEC would have settled this case before handing over the emails so they didn't have to expose the agency to Ripple. But Attorney Bill made an excellent point, and he said he didn't think Ripple was actually willing to come to the table unless the SEC actually handed over the emails first. That's because Ripple really is in the position of power right now, and it makes a lot more sense for them to be able to get a better settlement offer if Ripple actually knows what's in the emails. This was the first time I saw this argument raised, and I thought Bill might be on the money with it. It does make a lot of sense, and if you are under the impression that Ripple's summary judgment brief is a lot stronger than the SEC's, then obviously Ripple's in the position of power when it comes to a settlement, and they have the ability to really drag these emails out of the SEC before the SEC can settle and not hand them over at all. So I think this is a pretty interesting argument. I don't know the probability Bill would put on it that this case would settle and this scenario would play out, but I think it's safe to say that he does still believe we are in an opportune time for a settlement to occur, so it shouldn't be taken off the table. He seems to think all the cards are out now, both parties can come together and hash out this case, and I just think that's important to point out because I think if he thought it was unrealistic, he wouldn't even make the point. Anyway though, that's generally what Attorney Bill says, so let's move on to Attorney Fred and see how his views differ and also are similar. So guys, to start off with Attorney Fred's views, I think it's important to point out that Attorney Fred has been under the impression for a while now that Ripple would win this case, and he seems to agree with Attorney Bill that the investment contract is critical to this case, and Ripple is winning big on this issue. Now, with that said, Attorney Fred also brings up something similar but also pretty important to point out that I didn't see a lot of other attorneys talking about, and that is even if Ripple does win on XRP is not a security at summary judgment, that would most likely take place in the middle of 2023, there are other issues in this case that could actually get pushed out further and go to trial. He's the first lawyer I saw really bringing up this issue, and guys, if we have issues going to trial, then this case could drag out for a while. Now, the good news is that Attorney Fred seems to believe the main issues that involve XRP holders, which is fundamentally, is XRP a security, yes, no, that has a 70% chance of being decided at summary judgment, which is very, very good news. But with that said, he still does think certain issues could go to trial while they might be less impactful for us XRP holders. I thought this was a pretty interesting perspective and at least lets us know, hey, even if there is some indecisiveness in this case, at least the main issues will likely get decided in 2023. Now, I also want to point out that Attorney Fred also makes the point that he does not think this case is going to settle. He thinks the SEC has already exposed too much going on at their agency, and it would just be too messy to try to draft a settlement now. He also says that there are FOIA requests flying in everywhere to the SEC, and the SEC can just not afford to make any more reputation-compromising decisions to really make them fall even flatter on their face in this space. Because of this, he thinks it's more likely that the SEC just lets this go the distance. He thinks the SEC would rather just eat the loss and try to do anything else sketchy from this point going forward, and I totally see where he's coming from here. The SEC has already created such a mess at this point, they might as well just lose the case and make it all seem like an accident. But either way, I thought these were some pretty unique views. Definitely the trial part is something we do not want to happen. We want this whole thing to be done at summary judgment, but Ripple did specifically ask for certain parts of this case to go to trial. The important part to note is it's not the parts that involve us. They're really Ripple specific issues, so hopefully this whole trial thing turns out not to be too much of a big deal. Now guys, for Jeremy Hogan's views, he really seems to be in line with what Attorney Bill said about the investment contract issue. He thinks Ripple has the much stronger summary judgment brief, and really XRP should be declared not a security at summary judgment based on the summary judgment briefs. With that said though, Jeremy Hogan did spread a little more light on the settlement front, and I want him to explain it to you guys in his own words in the video he released last night, because I think it's going to give you guys some good insight on settlement, because honestly, out of all the lawyers, Jeremy Hogan gives the most insight on a settlement happening. So let's let Jeremy Hogan take it away here and see what he has to say about this case going to settlement.
Since this is crazy speculation time, what about a resolution of the case? Well, I'm not going to hold back here. All the cards are on the table at this point. All major issues have been decided by the judge. The emails have been handed over. The parties know exactly how strong each side's position is. If the SEC doesn't want those emails made public, between now and the end of the year is the time. As I've mentioned before, Ripple would certainly love to move on from this case, and there's only one thing it requires. Let's hear it from Ripple's general counsel himself.
We've said publicly since day one that this case settles if the SEC makes clear that Ripple sales and distributions of XRP and XRP's trading in the secondary market does not constitute a security. If they're willing to acknowledge that, the case settles, and settles very, very quickly.
And there you have it. And so we can safely assume that the SEC has so far not agreed to settle with the stipulation that Ripple's future sales of XRP would not be considered sales of securities. And if you think about it, Ripple really has no wiggle room on this issue, so it's up to the SEC to really decide if the case settles or not. And in that light, the worse the litigation goes for the SEC, the better the chances are. And so you have to think that at this moment in time, if I was the SEC, I'd be thinking very hard about whether this is the hill I wanted to die on. Bad facts make bad law, and there are a couple big pitfalls in this case for the SEC, but it's decision time for them, and we'll probably know shortly.
So guys, I think after listening to that, it's pretty obvious. Jeremy Hogan thinks it's in the best interest of the SEC to settle this case because their arguments going into summary judgment are so weak. Now, whether or not the SEC does that or not, well, that is a completely different story. It's almost impossible to use logic with the SEC, but I really do agree with Jeremy Hogan here. I think it's in the SEC's best interest to settle this case if they don't want to destroy the agency's power going forward. But anyway, I think Jeremy Hogan does an excellent job of really breaking down why that's the case. And guys, to finish this video off, I quickly want to talk about John Deaton's opinions. Now, I think he has been pretty conservative with his opinions because he is in this case, so he probably doesn't want to jump to any real big conclusions. He said a long time ago, if the SEC hands over the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails, the SEC settles within 60 days. Now, he has walked back on this a little bit. I'm not sure where he stands right now on the issue. He thinks it would be hard for the SEC to actually draft this settlement, giving XRP clarity. He also seems to think that the SEC's arguments are really weak. He said he was shocked with how bad their evidence was for why XRP is a security. And honestly, I think John Deaton is just so confident that he's going to go into his amicus brief and completely blow up the SEC's argument that XRP is per se a security. I honestly don't even think John is worried about XRP being declared a security. I think it's game, set, match in John Deaton's opinion on that. I think he still thinks there's a possibility Ripple could get a slap on the wrist. But guys, I think in terms of XRP being a security, I think John Deaton thinks there's zero chance, and I am in line with John Deaton on this. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.